So to quickly summarize this patch, we will be having a server maintenance on April 6. This maintenance will bring with it the railway, and it also brings us quite a few banners and new ego to pull. So the two banners here will be all of the Heathcliff IDs as a separate banner, and the second banner will feature 7 Section 6 Otis and Liu Section Honglu. You can also now pull Telepull False Ego from any of the banners. In addition to these, we also have quite a few quality of life stuff like skip buttons for EXP Dungeon. We also got new gameplay changes such as ego overclocks are implemented, passive costs and the passive numbers have been adjusted, ego corrosion UI changes, ego sin resistant modification changes, as well as huge amount of bug fixes. They've also changed how you get the Limbus Railway banner now. Now you only need to clear in the first 2 weeks or something like that. Yeah, so if that's all you need to hear, then you can stop watching here. If you want to hear me ramble about each of them specifically, then feel free to watch the rest. Timestamps will be in the description below. Okay, we got ourselves a really big patch actually. There's so much stuff in this one, as well as Railway coming out along with this patch. Finally, I'm able to make some new content. Okay, so patch April 6, KST, 10 AM to 12 PM, convert that to your own time zone, you know the drill. Next, I've already talked about the 2 new units in the banner. I think that they are going to be quite solid. I can't wait to just see their coin numbers so that I can finally give my final verdict of these characters. We also get a Heathcliff extraction that's is a bit surprising because they released Dawn Telepull, so I figured they would release a Dawn extraction or something like that, but actually they went with the rabbit, so I think that's fine too, because honestly Pack Rabbit is a pretty high priority pull. If you don't have him, you may want to consider pulling on this banner. Pack Rabbit is really strong, and I have been using him in basically all of my whale clears because he applies fragility, and fragility is just so stupidly strong and so universal. Everyone can benefit from fragility. All you need is him to go first, the bam bam, everyone just hit after him, boom, fragility has benefited you in some way. He's so strong, and also he has like a ridiculous amount of coin power, but that's a review for another day. Basically this guy is crazy strong, so if you do want to pull on this banner, definitely try and get 4th pack Rabbit Heathcliff. Super strong character. Oops. Alright, and then the new identities and egos will be added into all the pools. The ego will be Telepull for Faust. I talked about her in the previous video. Nothing much to say about those, I already talked about most of them. But here's the big one, Luxcavation Sweep. We are getting a skip button for EXP Dungeons, so all you need to do is use your skip button and you will pay twice the normal entry cost, but you get 50% more rewards of a normal clear. Honestly, I'm not too worried that they sort of reduce the rewards by a little bit, because honestly, it's not like Arknights where we have E290. There's no like super high cap that we can reach. In this game, it's more like you hit 30 and you're kind of done. So honestly, with this reduce, or I guess averaging of the rewards to this amount, I think it's totally fine to just go with this. I don't like doing the EXP dungeon anyway, it takes quite a lot of time, so at least being able to skip is quite nice. So overall I think it's a pretty good change. Okay, then big gameplay change is ego overclocks. So now I have to go and look through the entire ego list again, because actually if you can get the corroded version of your ego and it's not indiscriminate, it actually changes how some of them are used. So some of them actually become a lot better if you have the ego overclock. The downside of ego overclocking is that you need to spend 1.5 times as much ego resources and SP. So it's going to drain quite a bit of SP, which makes your future clashes a bit trickier. But if you stagger and kill, win clashes, you will still get a lot of SP back. So it may not be super significant. But the ego resources part is a bit significant because 1.5 times of, for example, Ebony Stem, right, is a bit huge. There's a huge amount of resources that you consume to overclock it, so that's gonna be a factor. The higher cost that you need to pay for this safe ego overclock. In addition to that, they also added unstable overclock, where if you don't have the resources, you can still do it, but it makes your ego resources go into the negatives, and it will have the problem of indiscriminate targeting as well, which is what most of the Eagles do not want to have. So this is a very interesting gameplay change. We have to see the practicality of it, because actually, if we look at Eagles like Dawn, Telepole, for example, when you overclock and you get the unstable, right, you give everyone 10 charge. That's so strong, right? So it could be that things like this overclock mechanic is going to change a lot of our strategies for Railway and future content. It's so interesting. I like it. I like it a lot. Can't wait to experiment with this. I like the first, like off the top of my head, is already just use Dawn Telepole, overclock it. Everyone can pop their mind whips, rip spaces or whatever next turn. Boom. And then yeah, it's so cool. I love this design actually. Alright, next we have some major changes. So this is a big one that I was talking about when I was reviewing Chromer, where her passive basically didn't exist, because if you ran the N-Corp team, you did not have enough resonance to activate it unless you were in waves. So they fixed it. Now they have changed the requirements to get your combat passives and your support passives. Not all of them have been changed. I believe only some have been changed. Most of them have been changed, yeah. And yeah, so like, for example, you see here, the one who grips fast, yeah, they reduced the cost for that one. I have to check everyone else's resonance requirements. It will be quite interesting to team build from now on due to the reduced cost here. And this is a big one, is that resonance dependent effects have been changed to static numbers. So what this used to mean, right, is that some resonance effects said something like resonance divided by 2. That's how much of a certain status you would apply or a status you would gain. For example, I think Dawn's was you get NV resonance divided by 2. So on average, if you resonance 2 NV, you will get 1 back, right? So now they are changing this to static numbers. So there should be no more resonance dependent stuff. So you don't need to resonate 2 to get like if you can resonance 4, you get 2, right? But now it's static, so even if you resonance 4, you will still get 1, for example. So yeah, so this change is actually quite good in my opinion, because getting resonance dependent stuff was very inconsistent most of the time, and it was very tricky to get. So this change, I really like it a lot, because it makes a lot of these resonance dependent stuff actually a lot more consistent, a lot more easier to get the value out of. Yeah. Okay, so besides that one, we also have some ego corrosion behavior changes. This one is more like a UI change to me. So now the corrosion skill appears on a random number of slots. I'm not too sure what that means. I will have to inspect that later. And then panic blocks are added to slots where the corrosion slot did not appear. Okay, so this means that the corrosion skill now appears randomly. So you will have panic slots and you will have corrosion slots. So your character, when he's corroded, will have some panic and some corrosion. So you can choose to panic instead of corroding, or you can choose to corrode instead of panicking. That is what I think that this is meaning. And panic blocks prompt no action, so basically it's a skip turn. So you have to choose whether you want to corrode, use the corrosion, which has indiscriminate targeting for some of them. So you may not want that, so you will use a panic block instead. I think that's what this change is for. Anyway, next is change to sin resistance modification. So this one is interesting because now you fully inherit the resistances of the ego that you activate. So for example, if I go to let's use Massault as an example, Hertily, right? So Hertily has these resistances, and my Massault, sorry, wrong Massault, my Zayn resistances are these. So now with Hertily will totally replace the resistances of this ego. Yeah, it will totally override. So if I use Hertily, I will take twice more damage from here, twice more damage from Gloom, Wrath and Gloom. So Wrath and Gloom, while here I only took 1 and 1 from this. So Hertily will now totally override. So that's an interesting gameplay consideration. Whether you want to resist a specific element, then you could pop that ego. I really don't know how to evaluate this one because it's an interesting change, that's for sure. Like, if you want to resist a specific element that the enemy is always using, then you could pop it. But like I said in a previous video where I said like tanks and supports aren't exactly like super useful in our current endgame. I hope it's useful in a real way. The resistance part may not matter too much when it comes down to it. It could be possible that this change actually does nothing and we still just use egos for clashing and for the passives or whatnot. So I'm really not sure about this one at all. I think it's alright as a change. I don't think it actually has many gameplay implications. Unless maybe the enemy is doing Wrath and then you specifically have a good ego that changes you to Wrath vulnerable, for example, then maybe you would consider not using that. It's a tricky one. I don't know. It would be like a cost-benefit analysis. You have to think like, are you willing to take more damage if you can win all your clashes? Then yeah, do it. If you think you might lose some clashes and you'll be more vulnerable to that element, then don't do it. Something like that. Yeah, this one's a tricky one. Could be interesting though, to think about this. Alright, then we got 1 million bug fixes here. So first off, we have affinity-based damage instead of fixed damage. So I think Fluid Sight did like 30% more damage if the target was panicked or something like that. Apparently it used to deal affinity based, so it would do, I believe it was gloom damage instead of fixed damage. So now they're changing that 30% to fixed damage, so you ignore the affinity resistances of the target. And it's also applied for Eviscerate and Infirm Retribution for Heatwave. So okay, not a good change, I like it. And this one here, this one is huge. One of my qualms when I was judging Quixote was that she needed to be at end speed or higher to activate, but they're changing it to end speed or lower. Like what? This is quite a huge buff actually, and they're doing it for Overbreathe. Oh my goodness, man. I wish they did it for the base Dawn too, because base Dawn also has the same problem as this. Ah well, at least Overbreathe is now no longer too much of a meme to me. I think it's actually very good now, because if you can consistently get that skill power, then Overbreathe is just really strong. It has a base of, I think, 7 now, because of the skill power activating at this speed. So instead of 4, it becomes 7, and then the cap just goes higher, but the cap was already super high anyway, so you don't care about that. But the base power is 7. That is significant. That skill is now really good. It's no longer a beam to me. I think Dawn's gonna get bumped up quite a bit. Alright, then we got 7 section Yisang. Yes, this one was a problem with Yisang that some people reported, that his keen observation buffed enemy's power. Yeah. So a lot of people were really annoyed that he buffed, so they just wouldn't bring. And some people just didn't know, so they don't care. But it wouldn't have mattered too much. But yeah, at least they fixed this passive. This one was a pet peeve for a lot of people who knew about this bug. I'm not sure about what this Wishing Cairn one is. Apparently there was an issue where the targets for the ego was put as random? Question mark? Then they fixed something about Land of Illusion, added targeting clauses with unique targeting conditions. I assume that means like Roseate Desire Ishmael, for example, targets faster. So maybe they have a unique targeting clause now. Chroma's getting nerfed again, for those people who still haven't cleared Chroma. They fixed an issue where the healing reduction for having 3 assigns will be reset when the battle progresses to phase 2. So people who will be like, wow, phase 1's so easy, then why phase 2 she's healing for 100 and getting 9 attack power? It's not actually 9, but each part is getting 3, so 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 9. But yeah, basically this is going to nerf Chroma's phase 2 as well, so now Chroma is going to be a ultra easy fight in my opinion. I don't think anyone will have trouble. You can just bleed her now. Like, you can bleed and burn her to death now. It's pretty simplified now. So goodbye Chroma. It was fun fighting you in your best form. Alright, combat. Fix an issue where applied values of Sanity Blaze. I never noticed this one. Sanity based coin flip chance modifiers were lower than intended. I don't know what this one means. I guess they didn't value sanity enough in coin flipping, so could be a weird one. Combat counter skills fixed to activate against any yes, so Sacristy got a little bit of a nerf with the last patch. So counter skills last time, okay, counter skills before the patch were if you hit the target on the skill 1, the counter skill on the skill 2 position would activate regardless. But now you have to target the counter skill to activate the incoming attack. So it makes Sacristy super easy because all you needed to do was attack the attack instead of the counter. So it made it super easy to beat Sacristy with this bug. At least they're fixing this, so now counter would work for us as well as the enemy. So it's a evenish buff to me. At least it makes people like Enmasalt more consistent now. Fix an issue where the success probabilities of selectable will display as unselectable in checks. Okay, UI change more or less, and everything else is just a lot of extra bug fixes. Yeah, it's a huge amount of stuff here. I don't think any of these is actually quite interesting. I think there is one interesting one here for those people who can't merge their data. If you wanted to transfer to Steam, I believe, and you were in your closure grace period, or it had just passed, it would cause the closure to fail or something along those lines. But basically they are fixing that, so maybe you can try merging your Steam account now. I'm not sure. You have to try after the patch hits first. And then we have to see what other errors have occurred because of this. Alright, I think besides that, all these are just whatever, just UI changes mainly. That's one called Lowest Star. I don't actually know what this skill is. It changed from 8 SP to deal plus 3 SP, and I don't actually know what that means. I don't know what Lowest Star is. If anyone knows, please let me know in the comments. And then lastly, we're getting our 300 lunacy. Woohoo! Okay, and then lastly, let's talk about some railway changes. So Railway will be opening April 6. You need to clear main story 322, so those people who haven't cleared Chroma yet for some reason, please go and clear a Chroma, otherwise you can't access the endgame. And then here is the reward menu, the lost and found. You need to pay 25 to receive all of these. Afterwards, it's free to receive whatever you want, so I'm not sure what this has to do with anything. It feels like a weird gameplay decision of all things. Oh, you want to receive your reward? Pay this 25. What? I don't get it either, but apparently you have to, so just pay it. And then you can just freely claim it afterwards. So yeah, it's a one-time payment, so well, whatever, I'll just pay to receive my rewards, I guess. After that, here's some preview for the Railway. We got the Manager from Chapter 1, and we got Ada from Chapter 2, and this is supposed to be the frog that has a cry in the Mirror Dungeon. It's an abnormality fight, so it'll be quite interesting to see. So here you can see like how the turns will be counted. You can see your energy that you've accumulated so far, and you can see the rewards that they give at the bottom here. All of them, even though they are waves or abnormality fights, will all be abnormality fight style. So you would have to manually target, or you could just win rate and then you would target like a regular abnormality fight. Take note, when a sinner dies, they will remain unavailable, and your health and sanity carry over. But if you clear a stage, all those who are benched will heal to full health and full sanity for the next fight. And when you lose a battle, you'll be taken back to the point right before entering the stage. So you do not have to redo the whole dungeon again. I repeat, you do not have to lose and then go back all the way. Yeah, you can just lose and then you just redo the fight. And I believe if you want to, you can even choose where you want to restart from if you think that you could have done that turn better. So let's say I got to Ada, and then I think I could have gotten 5 turns for this stage 1 here. You can go back here, you can redo, and then you can continue back to Ada. So you won't have to go back too far if you want to redo stages. Yeah, and this is quite useful, especially when you start going to stage 13 and then you realize that, oh man, I'm not gonna get a really good high score, so maybe just go back and try again. Okay, then they will revert your resources when you do that technique. And lastly, you may not change your team in the middle of an expedition. If you want to change your setup, you need to start a new expedition. And here you can see the records. I believe these records only show your own and shows your team comms, egos, and damage. So you get to see MVPs for this one as well. Can't wait to see everyone's strategies, really. I intend to go in with the base IDs first, just to get the clear, and then after that I will try out with a few of the other Discord members to try and get some speed runs maybe. We'll be aiming for min turn. So one thing here that the previous tweet, that's changed from the previous tweet, is that now you don't have to get 50 turns to get this banner. This banner will be obtained just by clearing within the first half of the event, which is April 6th to April 20th. You do not need to get 100, you do not need to get 50 to get this banner. This embellished banner will come regardless, as long as you clear within here. Yeah. Fulfilling the total turn threshold. I believe that means the 999, yeah. Hey, within a certain amount. Hold on. Huh. Okay, the previous one said 50 for this banner, but here it says 100, so that's a disparity right there. I don't know if they still mean you need to get 50 to get this banner, or if you need to get 100 now to get this banner. I'm not too sure. You should acquire the banner in the first half of the event of filling the total turn threshold. I can't tell if it's 999, or if it's 100, or if it's 50 from the previous tweet. It's one of those two. Whatever. I'll be aiming for the minimum turns anyway, so we'll see the threshold to get this banner after the patch is dropped. And after the railway 1 closes, the best total turns will be etched on the bottom right. So this bottom right number here is your total turns. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Yeah, I'll try and clarify this embellished banner thing later. Or if anyone knows, feel free to post in the comments, and then I'll just pin that. Because I'm really not too sure now, because there's quite a lot of information disparity here, I feel. But besides that, that's all for this patch. It's a lot of stuff to look through, so I hope I summarized it pretty well. Good luck on your fools, and hope you guys enjoy Railway. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.